Вот сегодня здесь, в Киеве, у нас
The Secretary of Defense of the United States of America, Austin, came to visit us. President Zelensky personally met him. Well, probably some kind of symbolic visit.
Ну да, 20 число еще символичен тем.
Yes, the 20th of November is also symbolic, in that it is Joe Biden's birthday. On this day, the Minister of Defense arrives. This indicates such an attempt to have a communication breach on his birthday. Actually, the fact that the Minister of Defense is in Kyiv on this day is significant. Of course, we cannot think that the celebration of the birthday of the US President will not happen at all. Of course, he will invite his inner circle. Of course, they will raise a glass of champagne, but there will hardly be a party. The Minister is here still. This is what it is about. This is an important signal that he is in Kyiv on this very day. This means that Kyiv remains a top 3 priority for Biden administration. Definitely the situation in the Middle East is not as rosy as may have been initially thought, because American society is ambiguously on the side of Israel, and the administration's attempt to associate itself with Israel in this case may not have a completely positive effect.
даже
There was information about a split among State Department employees regarding the American official position.
Это очень интересно. Да.
This is very interesting how public opinion in the world has changed. Someday, maybe we'll analyze that. If earlier sympathies were on the side of Israel, then a huge new generation has grown up in Palestine. Young Palestinians find it easy to connect with their peers on the other side of the ocean.
Absolutely. I learned this from my own experience when I was in Berlin, and we interacted with young Palestinians, and they were convincing me why they were right about their position on Israel.
Абсолютно согласен. И, соответственно, этот кейс
I absolutely agree, and accordingly, this Israeli-Palestinian case will not definitely be a victory for Joe Biden as it was, for example, for Bill Clinton, when he pushed Yasser Arafat, Yitzhak Rabin, Shimon Peres there, concluded an agreement, and was then awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. There will be no such solemn wedding rhetoric here, and this means that for Washington, Ukrainian success can again become priority number 1, because a case that doesn't offer dividends will gradually be relegated to the background. The case that clearly corresponds to American interests, where there is clearly an aggressor, Russia, where there is clearly a country that defends its sovereignty, Ukraine. This case will come back to the fore. Just a month ago, we found ourselves a little in such a wave, not despair, but such a grey phase, that we have been forgotten.
серого такого
ну, вот как будто
пасмурного.
бы, да, как будто бы.
Some kind of confusion.
Сейчас, я убежден, для нас опять
Yes, now I'm convinced the situation is turning around for us again, and the visit of the Minister of Defense is very important. There are difficulties for Americans themselves to gain access to financing. Part of the funding goes for Ukrainian defense assistance. But firstly, we understand that there are different programs, and the same Lend-Lease, for example, has always remained as Plan B for Ukraine. We are not revealing anything now, and we ourselves do not fully understand how the situation may turn out. But the Minister of Defense is here. Ukraine remains a partner of the US. We are not abandoned, to put it so primitively. And a visit on the birthday of the US President is significant. As for the overall situation at the front line, we see that, of course, the Russians are becoming more active. Some kind of ceremonial victory is important to them, like till the end of the year. They have once again postponed the deadline for the occupation of Donbass. Now it has to happen in their calculations before the end of December. This is definitely unrealistic. You need to understand that vast territories are controlled by the Ukrainian armed forces. Our heroes fight for every meter. The Russians push with human flesh. They do not take victims into account. They go to death against all odds, because Putin said so. Therefore, the visit is also a sign for the Americans to understand why this is all happening in the name of democracy, the values on which the American state was created, and the Minister of Defense as a key person being here, of course, will be a relay of this. At the same time, few people noticed another important visit that occurred. This was the visit of the Fox Corporation, led by Murdoch Jr., who was in Kyiv the other day and met with the president. And the Fox channel is also very significant for Republicans, and it turns out that he saw with his own eyes the atrocities that the Russians committed here. The president paid tribute to the Fox journalist who was killed last year. This was also significant. Of course, this is a good opportunity to convey the importance of what is happening here for Republicans through this channel. And I am convinced that this will have a positive impact for us. America itself is plunged into election turmoil. We have little influence on this, but explaining to the Americans why Ukraine's success is important to them, of course, is our task. And we do this from all possible platforms.